Blood pooled beneath Clara Thompson's body as Colonel James Carter stood frozen, his elite military training useless against the nightmare unfolding in his hometown. The corrupt officer smirked, unaware he'd just gunned down the sister of one of America's most lethal special operators, a man who'd neutralized threats across the globe and was now about to turn his skills on a rotten system. In the quiet town of Fairview, Georgia, a storm of justice was brewing, and no one would escape its wrath. James Carter, 38, a decorated Green Beret colonel, rolled into Fairview after years of covert missions overseas. The town, with its tree-lined streets and faded storefronts, hadn't changed much since his childhood. Beneath the surface of polite nods and church suppers, racial tensions festered. Confederate flags still hung on some porches, and prejudice often hid behind tradition. Growing up, James and his younger sister Clara, now 32, had faced slurs, unfair treatment, and subtle barriers as one of the few black families in a mostly white community. Clara had stayed in Fairview, becoming a fierce community organizer, while James channeled his anger into the military, rising to the top of the special forces. Pulling up to Clara's apartment above the community Centera brightly painted Victorian house, James felt a pang of nostalgia. Clara greeted him with a hug, her eyes tired but warm. Over coffee, she described the worsening police harassment in their neighborhood, pointing to Officer Daniel Harris as the worst offender. "He's untouchable," she said, sorting through complaints from residents. Chief Randall Burke buries every report. At a neighborhood barbecue, the air thick with the smell of ribs and laughter, tension spiked when Harris's cruiser circled the park. Clara confronted him, phone in hand, demanding to know why their gatherings were policed while others weren't. Harris's face reddened, his hand twitching near his holster. James stepped in, his calm voice carrying authority. "Colonel James Carter, U.S. Army. Any issue here, officer?" Harris backed off but muttered a warning. "Keep your sister in line, Colonel." The next morning, Clara headed to a voter registration drive, insisting James take the day to visit their mother's grave. For blocks from her apartment, Harris pulled her over, claiming a broken taillight a lie. Clara, hands on the wheel, called James on speaker, recording the stop. "I'm on Maple Street, pulled over by Harris," she said, her voice steady. James sprinted toward her, for minutes away. Harris ordered Clara out of the car. She refused, citing her rights. Enraged, Harris drew his gun, shouting about a weapon that didn't exist. As James rounded the corner, 3 shots rang out. Clara slumped over, blood staining her blouse. James reached the car, yanking open the door. His combat medic training kicked in as he tried to stop the bleeding, but Harris circled, gun drawn, claiming Clara attacked him. Paramedics arrived, but Clara was pronounced dead at 9:47 a.m. James noticed Harris slip a knife onto the passenger seat, a plan to justify the shooting. At the hospital, Chief Burke took control, spinning a story for the press. Clara, an aggressive activist, had lunged at Harris with a knife. The local paper ran a smear, using an old protest photo instead of Clara's professional headshot. Grief and rage burned in James, but his training kept him focused. He set up a command center in his mother's garage, installing jammers and mapping Fairview's power structure. Mayor Edward Lawson, Chief Burke, and Harris, protected by a web of judges, business owners, and state officials. Clara's hidden hard drive revealed a scheme tying police harassment to property devaluation in black neighborhoods, orchestrated by Fairview Futures, a development company linked to Lawson. James gathered evidence with military precision. A grocery store owner, Mrs. Maria Lopez, slipped him security footage showing Harris planting the knife. Hacking the police database, James uncovered falsified reports and payments from Fairview Futures to Burke and Lawson. Officer Samuel Wright, a young black cop, risked everything to share internal schedules and evidence of Harris's special assignments, targeting activists. To break the system, James launched psychological operations. He sent Harris a photo of the knife plant, driving him to paranoia. Harris drank heavily, accused colleagues of betrayal, and fired at shadows. James leaked altered bank records to Burke's wife, sparking distrust. He confronted Judge Nathan Brooks with proof of bribes, securing warrants for police records. Anonymous tips to the FBI about drug trafficking triggered federal scrutiny, cracking the department's unity. The system fought back. Harris planted drugs in James's car and fabricated an assault charge, but James's hidden cameras and alibi foiled the setup. When police took James's mother, Evelyn, as leverage, he infiltrated their safe house, rescuing her undetected. Harris's unraveling peaked when he shot an unarmed teen at a protest, screaming racial slurs. The footage went viral, forcing state intervention. A janitor found human remains on Harris's family property linked to a missing activist, drawing FBI agents to Fairview. Burke mercenaries to kill James, but he and his ally, Major Thomas Reed, repelled the attack, capturing one for testimony. With the system collapsing, James sent evidence to national media, exposing Clara's murder and decades of corruption. Protests erupted nationwide. Harris barricaded himself in the police armory, taking hostages. James infiltrated via maintenance tunnels, using a flashbang to disorient Harris. In the confrontation, Harris admitted that Clara was targeted for uncovering Lawson's offshore accounts. A struggle over Harris's gun left him wounded. As medics worked, Harris confessed everything, implicating Lawson, Burke, and Fairview futures. FBI agents arrested the ringleaders, and Fairview's corrupt system crumbled. James faced a military hearing for going AWOL. His commander, Colonel David Mitchell, and Officer Wright testified to the corruption's depth. Reprimanded but not discharged, James declined reinstatement, joining the FBI's Civil Rights Division. Fairview rebuilt, renaming the community center after Clara. At her grave, James placed flowers, whispering, "We got them, Clara. Your work lives on." A message hinted at broader corruption, but James was ready for the fight. The story of Fairview shows how one man's courage can topple a corrupt system. Have you faced injustice or seen power abused? Share your thoughts below. Do you believe violence is ever justified to fight systemic wrongs, or should justice stay within legal bounds? Your voice matters. Like and subscribe to join the conversation on standing up to unfairness.